I will be guiding you on how you can go from Feng Shui confused to Feng Shui mastery. And this is how I train my Feng Shui students to Feng Shui any home, forecast energy cycles, and build an aligned practice, either just them practicing for themselves and their family with the Flying Star method, or build a side gig or a full-time business from my certification course, without the fluff, without the guesswork, or the woo. Well, maybe a little bit of the woo. Who this video is not for, so let's get this out of the way. Let's get one thing clear right from the very beginning. This certification is not for everyone. If you're looking for a quick weekend course with a printable certificate, if you think Feng Shui is just about crystals or decluttering and moving furniture around, if you're looking to dip your toes for a vibe check or just spiritual aesthetic, this isn't for you. But if you're here because you want real training, if you're ready to learn the formulas, the charts, and the why behind it all, and if you're looking for a method rooted in lineage, integrity, and results, then this is going to be the most valuable 20 minutes of your day. Let's be honest, Feng Shui has become trendy, which means it's also become watered down. There are hundreds and thousands of quote-unquote certifications online. Some are under 20, some are under an hour. Some never even mention a flying star chart. Others are priced in the thousands and still leave students confused and unsupported. So today I'm giving you a look behind the curtain, a behind the scenes walkthrough of the exact certification I took myself. The one that launched my Feng Shui business, the one that gave me results and later permission to carry the lineage forward. In this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly what makes this Flying Star certification so different from the others. You get a peek at the curriculum, the way it's taught, and the way you walk away being able to do, not just understand. By the end, you'll have a clear picture of what real Feng Shui mastery looks like and whether this path is right for you. Hi, I'm Safrina Kadri. I'm a classical Feng Shui consultant and educator, personally approved by my grandmaster to carry forward our Flying Star lineage. But I didn't invent this method, I lived it. This is the exact course I took, but not before I wasted hundreds and a couple of years practicing what I call fast food Feng Shui. This is the course that launched my consulting business, and it's the method I've used with clients across the globe, clients who saw results in their health, finances, and relationships. Once I saw how accurate the forensic and forecasting was, how the stars lined up with real-world outcomes, I knew I had to go deeper. So I asked my grandmaster for permission to teach this work, to carry on the lineage. You will see on the slide here, Grandmaster Tan Yang Wu may be a name that you're not familiar with at all. It sure didn't ring a bell when I first heard it. But if you go into Asia, into Taiwan, Hong Kong, China, Southeast Asia, where you're among the real Feng Shui community, you mention Grandmaster Tan Yang Wu and their interest will be piqued because they know that he was one of the OGs in terms of taking true Feng Shui teachings in a school format as opposed to an apprentice format like Mr. Miyagi in Karate Kid, right? It used to be a one-on-one passed down format, but Grandmaster Tan Yang Wu with his school in Shanghai was able to start making it available for more people. So I asked the Grandmaster if I can train others, not just in symbols or trends, but in time-tested energetic truths. And my Grandmaster says, yes, this is a picture of me getting certified with the Grandmaster and pictures of the previous generations of Grandmasters. That was back in 2017, and I've been teaching ever since. I'm on a mission to raise the standard of Feng Shui education because right now, there are far too many people calling themselves certified, but they can't read a chart, They don't understand time cycles, and they certainly can't serve clients with confidence. I do things differently. My certification teaches Flying Star the way it was meant to be taught, with charts, with math, with ethics, and with ongoing support. Here's the reality most people don't talk about. Some courses teach what I call law of attraction feng shui. Others teach how to feng shui your own home, but not anyone else's. Many don't include Flying Star at all, which is one of the most effective feng shui methods for new practitioners. There are other more advanced ones, but Flying Star, when done right, is super efficient and very, very powerful. And sadly, I've had countless students come to me after they've spent thousands elsewhere. They show me screenshots of unanswered questions. They tell me they're still confused about the basics, and sadly, they wonder if feng shui even works. Let me be clear. It does work. You just need the right foundation, the right techniques, the right formulas. I don't just teach this. I use it in my daily life, all day, every day. And my students learn how to feng shui any home, in any cycle, anywhere in the world. They learn how to read energy maps, track the flying star movements, and forecast outcomes. This last bit here, forecasting outcomes, is something that have put them into the elite level of feng shui practitioners, because most teachers don't teach it, because most teachers don't even know it. My students, they aren't guessing. They're practicing. They're building real businesses with this knowledge. Some of my students are doing really well, serving clients around the globe just like I do. And now I'd love to show you how they do it. So what does it actually take to go from confusion to confidence, from consumer to practitioner? Let me show you the 4 key shifts you need to make, and exactly how my Flying Star Feng Shui certification helps you make these shifts. Shift number 1, you must unlearn that feng shui is a one-size-fits-all method. You may already be asking yourself that if all homes in the world have the same wealth corners, the same relationship corners, if it's so simple, if it's so easy, why isn't everyone rich and in love? Does these 2 charts look familiar to you? If you tried feng shui this way, you're probably saying it didn't work for you. For instance, that universal money corner that is supposedly in the southeast, or the furthest left corner in the house of a house or of a room, they say that's the money corner for every house in the world. You've probably heard of that. You've probably tried to practice feng shui that way. If you're one of the lucky ones, you probably escaped unscathed, but most of you, and I've heard, and I've gotten emails and social media posts and replies from you guys trying to activate the Southeast and getting into financial trouble. Let me ask you this. Why settle for just one money corner based on fast food feng shui when you can have 3? Some even have a 4th. So look at these charts. These charts are based on the period and the facing of the house. This is something that we cover in my certification course in depth. This house has its money corner in the southwest, west, northwest, and the center. This house has also 4 money corners in the north, east, southeast, and southwest. This house has three money corners, which is west, northwest, and the center. So would you rather have this, figure out where your 3 or even your 4th money corner is, or would you rather have to be told that your wealth or abundance corner is in the furthest left or in the southeast only for everyone? Feng Shui doesn't work that way. Shift number 2, you don't need lucky bracelets, keychains, necklaces, or Feng Shui tchotchkes to do Feng Shui. Are you guilty of buying any of these? Don't feel bad, because that's how I started my Feng Shui journey too. The real activators and remedies are based on the 5-element cycle. If there is an energy in a specific room, in my certification course, I teach my students to figure out which element will reduce that negative energy. But if you have auspicious energy, energy that is good for money, for health and relationships, I also teach my students which element they need to put into that area to activate that auspicious energy. You don't need to be buying all these things to turn your house into a Chinese restaurant and maybe have to hide it when you have guests coming. You simply use the right elements, use the right colors, and these things, you can go cheap. You can buy these things in Salvation Army stores or the dollar stores. Or if you're fancy, you can spend more money and get them in interior decorating stores. The sky is the limit. You don't have to do feng shui this way. And in fact, this is not the real way to do it. If you love Chinese culture, by all means. But getting these items don't mean you're doing feng shui right. Shift number 3. There's a difference between real feng shui and law of attraction decorating. Have you heard that in order to attract love, you need to have everything in pairs in your bedroom? Like 2 bedside tables, enough pillows for 2 people, put mandarin ducks. That is Pinterest feng shui. Real feng shui is not about having everything in pairs to attract romance. It's about tapping into the energy of romance. And once you learn how to calculate the energy of a space, then you can see where the relationship corners are. Yes, there's more than one, just like for the money corners. Shift number 4. When you Google what is feng shui, the answer that normally 99% of the answer that comes back to you will say feng shui is an art of placement. Feng shui is more than that. Feng shui is using math and formulas to analyze the time, the space, and the direction. So in my Flying Star certification course, the time is the feng shui period of the home, the space is the layout of the house, and direction is the compass reading. Once you have the facing and the period, then you're able to calculate this Flying Star chart, read the Flying Star chart, and then you superimpose the Flying Star chart onto the layout. And that's how you know what is the energy, where are the money corners, where are the health and relationship corners, where are the career corners, where are the academic corners. Then you can figure out where these energies land in your layout. So now that you've learned what feng shui is not, let me show you what my students get to learn when they're in my Flying Star certification course. Day 1, we work on the foundation. These are important and usually misunderstood. We learn about the lo shu, and this is the lo shu right here. It's a series of numbers with the number 5 in the center. We learn about the Bagua formation, and not just that. How do these numbers and trigrams, the numbers of the lo shu and these trigrams, the Bagua formation, relate to certain parts of the body? How the numbers and the trigrams, the numbers here, the numbers of the lo shu, and these trigrams relate to certain members of the family, as you can see here. So don't discount this simple chart on the right here. This chart holds the power to help my students figure out why certain things happened in the past, which is what we call forensic feng shui, and can also use this to forecast potential happenings in the future. Most teachers do not teach you this because they don't even know about this bit. And the sad part is, in mainstream media, most people are not even exposed to this mystical power of feng shui to be able to forecast what can happen in the future, and also to do that forensic feng shui bit. And that is when I love doing forensic feng shui in my certification class, because that is when you get the light bulb moments from my students. When they say, hey, Safrina, my son got sick, really sick in a specific year in a specific month. Hey, Safrina, my husband got a really bad car accident in a specific year or a specific month. And we work back, we calculate back to the energies of the year and the month based on Flying Star methodologies, and the numbers line up. It gives us goosebumps. That is when you know Flying Star is not just a woo-woo idea. It's actual mathematical, energetic calculation. So this chart here is their cheat sheet. They can forecast, they can do forensic feng shui, but only if they know what to look for. And I go through this with my students very, very deeply. On day 1 too, we're not done. We also look at how Chinese astrology impact our feng shui placements. We look at the 3 harmony, the 6 clashes, the secret friend. And bonus, this method also helps you read the energetic potential for people of all astrological animals for any given year and month. So once you know how to calculate these astrological formations, you can also do, to a certain level, some forecasting, monthly or annual astrological forecasting for yourself, for your friends, for your family, for clients. Day 2, we start going deep into permanent energy. We talk about determining the house period and how my grandmaster's lineage does this differently from other schools. And I know I get a lot of pushback on this one, but we've had many, many, many case studies done by myself, done by my grandmasters, where we calculate the house period based on our methods. And again, flying stars don't lie. We can forecast happenings. So I stand by the way our school determines the house period because it works. And then we go talk about how and where to take the compass reading. And this is where a lot of consultants from other schools make mistakes, because they are taught that the front door is always the facing. And I share a story over and over again. Unfortunately, I had someone come to me and tell me that he lost $250,000 in his investments after he followed another feng shui consultant's recommendations. Once I took a look at that consultant's recommendation, he did the facing wrong. He did the facing by the front door when the actual facing is actually the side of the house. Within 3 months, because of that consultant's mistake, unknowingly, granted, within 3 months, that client lost $250,000, and it took him quite a while to dig himself out of that. So if you want to do feng shui for yourself, or even for your friends and family, but especially if you want to do it for business, it is on you to make sure that you are properly trained. It is a big responsibility. Can you imagine the karma for that consultant to have taken on by triggering such a big loss in his client? You don't want to be in that position. And after we figure out the period and the facing, then I teach my students how to manually plot flying star charts. After the course, if they want to use softwares or apps, fine, go ahead. But I want my students to learn how to manually plot the flying star charts here. And the flying star chart is basically the all the numbers that you see here. It kind of looks like Sudoku, but it's not. Okay? And we keep going. In day 2, we talk about special flying star charts. Double prosperous facing, double prosperous sitting, up the mountain, down the river, parent string, pearl string, combination of 10, 7-star robbery. Right now, those words probably mean nothing to you. And I'm not going to go through it because that took hours to go through in an actual certification course. If you want to learn it, join me in there. Plus, I go through all these special flying star charts, but I also share with my students what I deem to be even more important than these charts. And you can only know that in the course. We also talk about inauspicious flying star charts, like the Fan Yin chart, Fu Yin chart, and the imprisonment of stars, as well as how to remedy that. And did I hear someone say they want to activate for more money with water placement? Day 2, we go through water placement theory. You will learn why things start turning south for some families after they put in their fish pond, their fish tank, their swimming pool. And where, if you're allowed to place a water feature to activate for money. Not all homes can take a water activation. Okay? And this is the part where I go through with my clients. And this is the chart. The formula starts with figuring out, are we in the upper yuan, the shang yuan, or the lower yuan, which is the xia yuan? And then what are the directions that you can actually place water features? That's the starting point. And then we layer on the permanent energy. And then we layer on the annual energy. And then we layer on the monthly energy. It's a lot. But that's the proper way. Day 3, we delve into annual and monthly. So day 2, we looked at permanent energy. Yeah? That one doesn't change. It's the permanent energy stays as long as the period of the house doesn't change. Day 3, we go into annual and monthly energies. And here we calculate annual and monthly, 5 yellow, 3 killings, year breaker, and the Grand Duke. On the side here, you're going to see how it's calculated for 2025. Not only that, you will learn how this impacts internal home renovations. If you want to renovate kitchen or bathroom, external home renovation, and how this impacts annual placements. Day 3, we go back to permanent energy combinations. So you see how this is a flying star chart. Now we're going to look at the combinations of 3 and 4, combination of 8 and 8, combination of 1 and 6, combination of 2 and 5, and so on and so forth. All these different numbers, when they combine with each other, they have another layer of energy to it. And that also impacts who in the family is impacted, what part of the body will have health challenges, and so on and so forth. These energetic combos would have an additional layer of reading on how it impacts money, how it impacts relationship, how it impacts health. And that we read for all 9 directions of the house. And now we layer on the permanent energy, which is this one. We layer it on with annual energy and then monthly energy. Guys, for most schools, this is actually an advanced level flying star. But for me, I teach my clients to do this. I teach my students how to do this because this is super, super important. And again, once they learn, once they nail down this bit, this puts my students in the elite category of flying star practitioners. I kid you not. Because you talk to other quote-unquote flying star students, they do not know this layer, this depth of flying star knowledge. I know that because I've spoken to some of them. So once we layer this, we will learn where to activate, how to remedy, how to update your annual feng shui placements, or even your monthly feng shui placements. Day 4, we're gonna put it all together. Now we have the permanent chart. We're gonna superimpose the flying chart first to the whole house. We're gonna put these numbers and we're gonna put it in this whole house. We'll talk about how to demarcate. Where are the money corners? Where are the money loss areas? Where are the health and relationship corners? Where are the health and relationship drain areas? What is the energy at the door? What color your front door should have? How to activate the door if the door is good, or how to remedy your door if your door is weak. Once we deal with the whole house, if you want to, you can superimpose this flying star chart to a room. So I chose this bit of the house here. Right now, I take this permanent chart and I shrink it room to room. So in this example, we superimpose the chart to each room, which is very important in order for us to do bed placements in the bedrooms, how to place your work desk or your study desk in the office, and how to place your stove in the kitchen. And this is where it starts getting fun. I start taking my students' layouts. We start working on their layouts, real life case studies. We do forensic feng shui. When you can work back the energies down to the month that something happens to my students, you realize the true power of Feng Shui. We work more on forecasting Feng Shui and how to prepare for it. We do bed and desk and stove placements for my students. We look at, can this student's house have water placement to activate for money? If they can't put money there, what are the other ways to activate for money? Which elements to use to activate good energy for health, relationship, and finances? And which elements to use in all parts of the house to remedy energy that is not good for health, relationship, and finances? There is continued support in my graduates only Facebook group. And I can tell you, I have students from other courses try to get into my Facebook group, but I had to tell them I had to decline because they didn't take my course. I said, go back to your teacher, get the support from your teacher. And they said, a few of them said, well, I asked my teacher to give us, post certification support. My teacher said no. And a couple of them said, well, there is support, but it's so dead in there. My graduates only Facebook group is very active. My students continue their learning, continue to practice what they've learned in the 4 days, because the 4 days is where I give you the textbook and I download the textbook information for you. But after the 4 days is done, there are so many nuances in other layouts. There are so many other external environment situations that can impact a house. And this is the Facebook group where my students are able to give Google screenshots of the house or post up layouts and post their calculations so that they get not just my eyes, but also other pairs of eyes from other students. So the practicing, the learning, and my teaching keeps going. It doesn't end at just the 4 days. So now that you've seen what's included, how it's taught, and how different this path really is, you might be thinking, this is exactly what I've been looking for. And if so, I'd love to invite you to join us. This is not just another certification, this is legacy. When you join the program, you're not just learning Feng Shui, you're going to start embodying it. You're learning from a teacher who lived it, who learned from grandmasters who have had hundreds of case studies to prove without a doubt that our formulas, our techniques, and our methods work. You're learning from people, grandmasters and me, who was trained and mentored and approved to carry it forward. And I am committed to your success, not just your payment. Yes, this is an investment of $2,088 if you make full payment for the course. We do have a payment plan, which we can discuss during the student selection. What is it worth to know you're being trained properly and not risking doing Feng Shui wrong and making things worse for yourself? To walk away with real skill set that you can use for life to become the practitioner clients actually trust. What is it worth to you to finally be trained in a system that gives you clarity, confidence, and credibility? To know your teacher will actually answer your questions, not just during the course, but after the course is done as well. To join a community that doesn't disappear once the modules end. I keep my student groups intentionally small because I take my role as lineage holder very seriously. And I want to be able to really be present with all my students during class. I don't want you to be just another number in my class. Why? Because I've taken courses from other teachers and that's how I felt. And it was yucky, it was icky. I didn't like that. I didn't want to be just another body in the class. I want to know my teachers are as committed to my learning as I am committed to my learning. My permission to teach came from my grandmaster. My training traces back through generations in China. And that depth lives inside every chart I teach, every client I serve, and every student I certify. Because of that, there will be a simple selection process. If you and I are a match, I'll send you everything you need to begin your certification. If that math doesn't add up for you, that's okay. Like I said in the beginning, this isn't for everyone. But if you're ready to study Feng Shui at a practitioner level and serve clients with confidence, or even to do this for yourself and for your family, your next step is to apply to register. And to apply, you just simply email me at safrina@fengshuiandprosper.com. And I look forward to hearing from you.